So thank you for asking me about my story and about how I got to where I am from the Yale School of Management, which is, yeah, quite a little bit distinct from most people graduate from the school, I would say. Um, so first of all, I want to say that I'm really grateful to have gone to Yale SOM because having an MBA has allowed me to blend multiple worlds, the world of coaching and personal development with the world of business and having, my own school and running my own company, basically. But doing something that I love, that it's quite deep and it's quite full of heart and soul. Um, so I think that this relationship between business and spirituality and creativity is something that needs to be more explored, particularly in business schools where, spirituality seems like a way off from the curriculum. Um, I did a joint program, not just the MBA program, but also the environmental management program. And so my career at that point was very focused on business and environment and sustainability consulting and that kind of thing. I did do 1 year of management consulting after I graduated, which was very helpful to pay off my loans. And then, and I did do after that some freelance consulting. Very quickly, I realized that I needed to not have a boss and be my own boss and be, freelance person. And that gave me the flexibility to craft my own career in my own way. And so I did some consulting at first, and then I certified as a coach. Realized that I was very passionate about coaching and I was good at it. And so um, I was asked by the founder of the school where I trained if I wanted to work with them, and that shifted my career because then I realized, oh, okay, this needs to be the center, coaching. And and so I devoted a few years to coaching exclusively. Mm, Given my interest in sustainability, in parallel, I was already part of an eco village community, and this has been going on since my SOM years. We founded this eco village in 2006, and I graduated in 2007. So it's been many, many years in the works. This year we're 18. We're 18 years into the project. But in terms of my career, I focused on coaching, and then I had a big breakdown, and I can share my TEDx talk where it talks a little more about my big breakdown that had, a breakup involved, but also just being fired from a job and things not working as I wanted to, and realizing that I had gone into a path that wasn't truly mine, that it was a lot of external definitions of success. And because I already had some background in coaching and personal development, I was able to turn that breakdown into um, a path, not just for me, but for others. And
Mm.
what it took for me to find my purpose is what I eventually wrote in my book, Life Revision, which is available in English as well. And when I wrote that book, I also wrote it in the midst of doing workshops. So I was creating this curriculum and this method, this 6 steps method, and I was testing it, you know, as I was going, as doing my own work, but also supporting others in similar situations. And more people are actually in that situation of questioning everything, of inquiring deeply into what life is truly about and what is my life truly about and what deeply fulfills me, and instead of just following a traditional script that might make your parents happy or society happy, but how about you? Are you happy and fulfilled? So that is the step-by-step process that I support people in, of truly asking the big questions in a very systematic way, because that's the benefit of having gotten this great education, that you get very good structure and understanding and a strategic mindset, which is what SOM teaches you, right? So I have that strategic mindset also for one's personal life. What I teach is a mixture of a personal strategic method, but full of soul, full of heart and um, creativity, and to really like connect with that uniqueness and with that calling.
Mhm.
Um, and so I published a book, and I continued to the workshops, and eventually in the pandemic we started an online school, which is Revision Academy, and that has expanded our offering both in Spanish and in English, being able to invite people from all over the world, well, if the schedule permits, um, and and then do a multiple set of steps in the curriculum, and a year-long program for mentors. So I'm training mentors now that use the method and participate. And when we do the big workshop, they, I lead the program, and they mentor small groups. And so there's always this intimate feel and strong community, so that people can open up vulnerably. That's very important. And um, as we've continued to expand, um, I've also integrated more of my business background to start providing more structure and more also of a business feel to what we're doing. Before it was more um, kind of intuitive and organic, but now it's becoming, I'm leading a few teams, and starting to create the processes and all the marketing that needs to happen, etc. So I'm very grateful for the business background. And this year we're going to launch a new product. I've been designing for 4 years a tarot deck. So it's 64 cards that describe the whole journey, because now, as I've mentioned before, there's not just one workshop, but there's many workshops, and it ends up being a comprehensive leadership program, basically leadership that is inspired by deep purpose. And aside from that, the school also provides a coaching training program, which is related to the coaching school where I trained and I've been also working at for many years. Since 2011 I've been working with them, and so now I have license to offer a 6-month training program. This is right now, it's for Latin Americans in Spanish. But it's also part of our offering, given that at the end of the day, we need a strong team of coaches that also mentor people in how to find their purpose and how to embody their purpose, not just find it, but the journey of embodiment is a journey that is recommended to be supported by a coach. And in my way of seeing things, it's best to hire an integral coach to embody it in all ways, body, emotions, your whole being, and
Mhm.
becoming the person that fulfills that purpose that you have crafted.
Yeah.
So yeah, that in a nutshell. And I think, I would add that to live a full life, one has to reconnect with one's talents, the talents that you've had since you were a child. And so in my case, I've loved music, and I make music, so I've been pursuing that and keeping true to that, and created my first music album right after SOM, and then the second one is coming up in the next year or two. And um, I
Congrats.
decided, thank you. I decided not to have children, but I am married, and I think that having a strong family life is really important. In my case, my family is my husband and the community that I live in. I live in an eco village community, and they are my part of my family. I also connect with my blood family, um, but you know, in this day and age, if you don't have a strong family of your own, it's hard. It's hard to have the inner stability and strength and love that you need to be a beacon of light and inspiration for others.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an inspiring story, and I'm curious. It's just so like unique and different, I think, than the typical path from SOM. And I'm wondering, like, when you were here at school, like, did you ever, could you kind of see that life for yourself when you were here, or was it like, it sounded like there was one big moment where, you know, things just kind of became a little clearer to you. Um, would you say any of that, you could see any of that before?
Yes, that definitely. I think that um, the intuition of what we're about is there all along. We just have to listen. And as I was at SOM, and FES, you know, the School of Environment, um, I started connecting with mentors there, and just following my sense, my instinct of who I admired. And so Heidi Brooks, somebody who um, she and I had a number of conversations, and I joined one of her programs to mentor first year students when I became a second year. So that mentoring was part of what attracted me, or what, you know, the seeds of who I am now were already present as I did that mentoring. And also somebody at FES, another mentor there, introduced me to an alum who recommended the coaching school where I ended up studying and then working. So yeah, the Yale ecosystem was fundamental for me in finding those people, and also through the Yale network, I connected with people who ended up hiring me to do some leadership training for young change makers. Yeah, so I think that as you're there, it's such a rich environment, and there's so many different kinds of people beyond just SOM that can nurture your aspirations and your curiosities.
Yeah. Any any tips in particular for me, as I'm a first year now. I'm trying to make the most of my 2 years. Anything that you did that I should do?
I think what you're doing is very wise, which is connecting with alums, and also connecting with faculty there that seem for some reason interesting to you, and just following that intuition, following that sense, that sixth sense that we all have of what's aligned with us, um, and then you can you know do internships, or you know, do activities that are aligned with what's exciting to you truly, not just what's strategic for your career. But for me, for example, I was part of the entrepreneurship club, and I'm an entrepreneur, like, clearly. So um I think what we did there was valuable, and just starting to bring that identity that you're trying to build. In my case, you know, being an entrepreneur, also being a business person, but keeping true to myself, doing it in my own way. um and there's very interesting people at SOM, like Jonathan Feinstein. He explores the life cycles of business people who are highly creative, and he has a big book about that. um,
Mhm.
and so I remember that he was an example of somebody that is a little bit outside of the typical business speak. Heidi Brooks is another person. And you know, and I forgot to say that in my career, I ended up finding a role that blends really nice my business background and my coaching background. Now I have this culture consulting role, And it's not the whole of my career, it's part of it, and I don't want it to be the whole of it. But I usually have 1 or 2 projects a year that are culture work. And it's very satisfying because culture work involves some strategy and involves like creating decks for clients and analyzing data and presenting and also training and coaching. So it's a really nice complex blend of all of these skills that I've learned throughout my career,
Mhm.
including systems change, which comes more from my sustainability work. But yeah, sustainability work taught me about, having a vision for sustainability, a vision for systems change, and how do you create movements that shift the mindset, that shift the behavior, and that it ultimately creates like measurable impact on the ground. So all of
Mhm.
that is very related to culture work. Um, and I think, a satisfying career is finding those roles that combine the multiple talents and also finding the type of lifestyle that you want to have. I don't want to be involved in crazy projects all year, but maybe like 1 or 2 a year where it's like 1 or 2 months where it's intense. That's nice, because I live the consulting lifestyle where that's what you do the whole year. I don't want that all the time, but a little bit of that is kind of fun.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the kind of life design that I teach in my workshops. Like, how do you want to design your life? What would truly be fulfilling
Mhm.
is the question that I invite people to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing that makes me think about is like, and part of the reason that one other thing I'm interested in is so I came from an engineering background and I took like a creative writing class here. And I've been doing like some writing outside of work. Um, but here it's like very clear that that's something that I really enjoy.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure like what way I want to take it, but one thing that was really interesting to me is like I saw you published a book and I was wondering like what was the motivation for that and like what was the process like for you? Like how
Mhm.
did you find that experience?
Yeah. Well, before I share about that, I want to tell you that if you like writing and you're into business, you could consider copywriting as a living because that's like a very lucrative and valuable skill to have. Anyway, so for me, writing what has been present my whole life. When I had my big breakdown, I reconnected with the fact that I had 38 journals written. And so the writing is just the way I process and the way I learn and create. um and I always wanted to write a book. Like, it's one of those things I've always wanted to write a book, and so eventually I decided to start, and I found a program. I found a really good step-by-step process of how to write your book, and the support around me, the mentorship. And I'd say that was very valuable, to have that. And there's many mentors out there. I know that my mentor doesn't offer that particular program anymore, so I won't share it with you. But if you look out there, there are programs like write your book in 6 months, write your book in a year, and having a structure so that you keep true to those intentions. And those programs, if they're well crafted, they're going to help you think about the big picture of your book, the structure of your book, and then the habits, becoming a writer, and making sure you do spend some time every day, or at least a few times a week, writing and setting goals, etc. And then there's a whole piece about who you're writing for, and who is your avatar, who is the person you're helping, what is the problem you're solving. And that also is important, right? Because when I did my own process to um, overcome my crises, that was one thing. And I realized I'm not going to write about that. It's not going to be a memoir. I want to write to help people. So I needed to like turn it around and see, okay, how does my story help people?
Mhm.
So it wasn't just like, oh, I'm writing to process my own stuff. No, I mean, I did that, but that wasn't the book I wrote eventually. So it took some time to find like the tone and the value proposition, if you will, of the book.
Right.
And it was so, it was so like, mm, I so found it that I created a school out of it, if that makes sense. Like, uh, that there's value there. So, and it continues to be relevant because I continue to sell it and translating it, etc. So I think a book is like a child. Um, it's you give birth to it and then you nurture it and it grows up and it never dies really. You keep grooming it, and now I'm in the process of re-editing it up to date, making it up to date, and a new cover, etc., and putting it out again, at least in Spanish. The English one is more up to date.
Mhm.
So it's a big deal, I would say. It's not just you wrote it and it's done. I think some people do that. They write the book and it's done. For me, I think it's a lifelong project, a lifelong
Mhm.
commitment.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, I mean, that's really all that I have. I know, you know, I'm just very grateful for you to take some time to talk with me, and just wanted to understand your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate reaching out and trusting yourself and your gut for, you know, coming to this conversation. And I'm sure there's a reason why we're having this conversation, and that I really hope and I have faith that this is going to be nourishment for your path.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Well, have a great rest of your day.
Okay. See you, Anna Maria. Bye.
Bye.